Hey guys, just wanted to show this. It's a Buckeye-thon sweatshirt I'm wearing. I got signed by a couple of the cancer patients the other night. I went out to their fashion show night just briefly after practice last Wednesday and got to spend some time with some of those kids. Man, I just wanted to shed a little light on them, man. And they're the real heroes. So they're fighting the real battles, and thought I'd wear this and try and spread the word about Buckeye-thon. Took down Penn State this week, and they have like the biggest thon in the country, and it's really cool what they do. But I think it'd be cool if we could make Buckeye-thon that big too. So just wanted to shed some light on it.
All right, awesome, thank you. Dave, go ahead.
Will, I was going to ask this anyway, but this is a great example. You just seem like such a natural leader. Have you always been that way as you look back, or is that something you kind of had to grow into?
I think I would say a part of it is, just personality. I kind of like to be the guy that kind of runs things a little bit, and I like to kind of have that authority over, a group. And I feel like some of that is personality a little bit, but I definitely wasn't like that, maybe my freshman year of college. It took a lot of years to kind of develop, a sort of intrinsic confidence and a sort of sense of, self-righteousness and just kind of a sense of self-security, and it takes years to develop that. But once you kind of develop that and you're comfortable in yourself and you're confident enough to believe in yourself no matter what happens, I feel like that just allows you to play free and play for your brothers. And that's something I've always wanted to do, is listen, man, this is bigger than me. It's not a one person thing. It's not about me here. I don't care if I play my worst game. If we win, that's all that matters. And that's kind of how I want to approach the game, and that's how I want my teammates to know me, and that's just kind of the way that I want to approach it. And being a leader, I feel like, is just kind of being yourself. And I don't think you have to necessarily do anything or be anything. You just got to be yourself and be real. And if you're real and if you're genuine, people are going to want to follow you. And I've been fortunate enough to, this team has rallied around me really well, and we just have such good, high quality character guys, and I wouldn't want to be a part of any other team, man. I'm so blessed to be here and blessed to be, in the position of a leader on this team. Thank you.
Well, how much restraint did it take you to not try to take that very last run, the distance?
Took some self-control, for sure. But yeah, we talk about all the time, that situation and downtime, first down, get down kind of situation, because, you don't want to allow them to, something crazy happens. I think it was UNC App State last year. They went down and scored with a minute or so left, and App State went down and scored, onside kick, score again to win the game. You never know what's going to happen. So as much as I would have loved to take in a 40-yard house call on that last play, it's better to win the game. And as much as probably could have gotten a couple more yards out of it and stat padded a little bit, but I wasn't thinking about that in the moment. Just get down, get the win.
To be able to use your legs in those moments, we've talked about you relatively this year, but when you guys needed the plays the most, you used your legs. How important is that for you guys moving forward, that you showed that you can do that at a great moment?
Yeah, it's big. I feel like we talk about, in these matchup games, in these big games, especially on the road, my legs are going to become a big piece. And when the game's on the line, when it comes down to it, that's when things happen. And if a guy gets out of his gap or undisciplined or whatever, then I'm going to pull the ball. And I feel like it just makes it so much harder to defend us as a team, and we're more able to do that in those clutch situations. And we ran the ball 11 times. I don't think I carried the ball. I don't think I pulled the ball on any of those kind of inside zone type plays until that last play. And so you can't do it without having successful downhill run plays, but it's being able to keep them honest every once in a while, and me being willing and ready to use my legs in those big moments is big.
Right next door, Cameron.
Well, what did you think the offensive line proved in that game, especially when you look at Carson Donnie moving positions 5-6 days before a big game like that?
I can't say enough amazing things about those guys and the way that they stepped up and took on the challenge, because they were hearing it, man. I mean, we all felt it, you know. They were hearing the flack that they were getting. You know, we couldn't run the ball against Nebraska, and you know, obviously, you know, that's a team thing. You know, that's not just the O-line. That's everybody. And you know, we looked at it and we said, you know what, we're going to go physically impose our will on these guys, and I think we did that. And you know, I think, you know, Donnie moving out to left tackle for the first time. I don't think he's ever played tackle. Like, that was unbelievable, going against a guy like Abdul Carter, like, who's a hell of a player, and to you know, play as, you know, it wasn't perfect, but to play as good as he did, like, I mean, unbelievable. And Carson, to never play guard, you know, to come in like that. I mean, he's played a lot of football, so you know, we all had all the trust in the world in him, but he played unbelievable. I think Tegra did a really good job. I think Seth played a hell of a game. Josh Fryer, like, those guys, they proved themselves right, you know, and they'd been hearing it. They wanted to prove everybody wrong, but they proved themselves right on Saturday.
Talk about imposing your will. Like, that's an attitude thing. How does that feed to the rest of the team? I mean, you talk about Hugh and Trey laid some blocks for you in your run game that were big in there as well. How does that feed to everybody else?
It's very contagious, and when you're physical, downhill, running the ball, especially on the road, that takes the air out of a defense, man. You could see it. You can watch on that last drive. You can just tell. Like, I don't think they really believed that they were going to stop us, especially after we come out and take a quarterback sneak for 5 yards. I mean, you know, that deflates you as a defense. That's not a good feeling when you get 11 plays running the ball right at you like that. It's deflating, man, and it's inflating for an offense and for a team. You know, it's like you go out there and it's just, you know that you're going to get 5-6 yards on every carry, and it really makes you feel good. And you know, it gets you into good situations and into second and shorts, and where you can take shots, and then third and shorts where you can get a little more creative, and they don't know if you're going to run or pass. And it's just, overall, when you're able to run the ball and impose your will like that, and play as physical and downhill as we did up front, hard to stop.
Yeah, Coach Day was saying that you have a real knack at moving on from play to play. If you have a bad play, you're just on to the next. Is that something you've always had? Is that a wiring you issue? Has it evolved over your career? Did you used to be just okay at it or bad at it?
I would say I was bad at it my freshman and sophomore year, to be honest with you. And I just felt it so many times, because I think my freshman year, 2020, I threw like 8 touchdowns, 10 or 11 picks, just was struggling, turning the ball over, and I just didn't know how to turn it around, you know. And when I finally realized that, you know, how important that next play after that pick is, and that was, I think it was really my junior year I figured that out. I think the first time I really experienced it was at West Virginia in 2022. It was a cold game. I threw a pick 6 against them early in the game, bad read, just threw a pick 6, and nobody said anything to me. And this was probably the first time that nobody had really said anything to me at K-State after a pick, and they were just like, let me alone. And I just went around to the whole offense. I was like, we're fine, you know, don't worry about it. Next play, they came out and we ran like a deep corner route off of a sprint out to the field. And when I felt like, oh, they're still believing in me, they're still throwing the ball, and I went out there and ripped it, and it was like one of my best throws of the day. And you know, when that moment happened, that was kind of the turning point where I was like, man, like, it's really about how you approach it and how you respond from it. And I threw a pick 6 early in the game, and I threw, I think, a pick 6 at West Virginia my freshman year, and I ended up throwing 3 picks that day. We lost. But in that game against West Virginia in 2022, after that pick 6, I bounced back and threw like 2 touchdowns and had a great game, you know. And I was like, man, you know, the 2 games started kind of the same, but they ended differently. Like, I looked back and I was like, how did I approach that differently? I was just like, I just said, screw it, move on, and didn't really let it affect my confidence. And, you know, it took taking some hits and taking some, you know, some lumps early in my career. But once I was able to kind of work through that, I was like, man, you know, it's all about how you respond. And it's the next play after that bad play. Because as much as I'd love to go back and change that play, you can't. You can't do it. And so you just got to move on, and you got to make it right. And, you know, I think I've gotten better at that. I still could be better, you know, of course. But, I've just played a lot of ball and seen a lot, and so I feel like not that much phases me anymore.
Is this something you've done on your own, or have you had external help, whether it's a sports psychologist, a coach?
Definitely a little bit of all that. I've worked with sports psychologists. I work with Sharon here. She's great. My mom's big on that. Like, she's always instilled in me, like, your mental preparation is just as important as your physical preparation. And that's something I think I understood a little more when I came here, is that, I want to get my body ready and have my body ready for the game and do my recovery. But, what am I doing to recover my brain, and how am I, whether that's, taking some time to get away from the game a little bit, maybe after the game, and having some escapes, but also being able to, just have a sense of security and not, because when I was young, I used to make a mistake and say, man, like, am I that good? Am I good enough? And now it's like, I am. I believe that I am, and when you believe that, and when you don't let one play shake who you are, I think my faith has helped a lot with that. I think just playing for a bigger purpose, it helps you move past obstacles like that, and my trust in the Lord, and just saying, I know you got a plan for me, and I think that's been a huge help for me too.
Got time for 2 more, Austin? It looked like, Will, on Saturday that the offense was more engaged when the defense was on the field with them, and support, same vice versa for the defense to the offense. Like, the energy looked different. I don't know if it felt that way to you, if there was something that you guys did differently as a team. That's just the way it looked.
It felt like that for sure. I don't know, I don't know if it was the the big game, big atmosphere. I knew that we preached during the week. Like, it's a big game. It was a crossroads for us, and it could kind of make or break our season a little bit. As much as we didn't really want to say that, it's kind of true. And we knew that, and I think we took that and we said, I think we kind of learned from that Nebraska game a little bit. We were a little flat, coming off that Oregon, off the bye week. I think we kind of took some things for granted, especially offensively. But we came out in that Penn State game and realized, I think it was kind of a kickstart for us, that Nebraska game, honestly, like, kind of showed us, like, man, we can't come out with no energy, no matter who it is. We have to have energy and create it for ourselves, because there's no way to manufacture energy, especially on the field, other than by bringing it yourself.
We'll wrap it up with Bill. Front row.
You came here to win a national championship. That's been the team's motto. Obviously, the quarterback's got to be a big part of that. You had some really nice plays on Saturday. You had some plays I know you won back. I'm curious what you saw in the interception. But the bigger question is, how confident are you that you are the guy to lead the team to a championship, a national championship, that you've got everything that's required to do that?
I'm very confident. At this point in the season, if I were to sit here and say that I wasn't confident, I feel like that'd be a pretty big problem. I'm very confident, and that's just because I trust in my training, and I trust in the Lord and His plan for me. I trust in my teammates, and at the end of the day, man, what God's will is will happen, but at the end of the day, man, I'm going to go out there and give it my all, and I know that I have what it takes to get it done. I didn't play my best game against Penn State, but I feel like I do play well. I think maybe I let the emotions get the most of me a little bit at some points, but at the end of the day, man, like, I came here for one big reason, and that's to win a national championship, and that's still ahead of us, and I'm thrilled about this win. But, at this point, we're past it. It's just a stepping stone and what we needed to do to stay on the trajectory, to get to where we want to get. But, man, I believe in myself and my abilities, because, I got the best supporting cast in the country. And, I'm humble. I try to stay humble and just believe that I got to keep working and keep getting better. But, I think that's the encouraging thing too, is that, I feel like I've played pretty good football this year, but also haven't played my best, and I think that's still out in front of me.
What did you or not see on that?
They kind of played a different kind of coverage over Mech and Jeremiah. They really did like a kind of a cone-ish coverage in and out. So it kind of started off looking a little bit like man. I thought it was man. They kind of in and out at it. Kid made a good play, jumped the route. Should have probably just gotten backside, worked my dig concept to the backside. Tried to force something early in the game and back to bite me. And, again, that, whether that was the, the excitement, the emotions, just trying to make something happen, rather than letting it happen. Yeah, that was kind of what I saw. But, just got to learn from it.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, guys. Go Bucks.